Shalom. I'm going to give all honor and glory praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, HaKadosh. Everyone else to the other shall pass a great millstone, whose opposition to sincerity, citations to the hopeful land, spirit on the 400 search. Alright, this is going to be another video entitled, The Lord is going to put us in a condition where we have to believe on Him, or trust in Him, or have faith in Him, whichever one the Holy Spirit told me to title this video. Okay, so the Lord is going to put us in a condition where we have to believe on Him, i.e., have faith. Have faith in, what the process. Okay, but what we're going through, the conditions the Lord put us in. Okay, and and some couple of examples that came to my head was the three holy children. Okay. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and being put in the fire, any furnace, okay, and the Lord covering the Lord angels covering them, okay, not allowing them to be quenched by the fire, okay, not allowing the power of fire, okay, that element to ignite them, set them alight, okay? All right, and then what another example, right? We can use, right? Daniel in the lion's den, okay? The Lord put Daniel in a den for the lions, right? And those lions haven't eaten, okay? In some while, right? And they were hungry, right? But the Lord didn't put the spirit of those lions to have Daniel be their meal. Okay, right. So it shows, right. We can go back to. We can go all the way back to the Exodus, right? Israelites, right? The Lord, the Israelites were in captivity of Pharaoh. Okay, and the Lord didn't allow Pharaoh to basically slaughter the Israelites. He allowed there to be a remnant, okay, that made out of Egypt. Well, he allowed the Israelites to make out of Egypt without dying. Okay, so the Lord, He will put us in conditions, okay, where we have to believe and have trust and have faith on Him, because all these three examples I just mentioned, we believe. There was the time where the prophets, okay, the Israelites, we believe in the Lord, okay, we have faith in the Lord, okay, and it should have changed, right? Especially when we see prophecies happening, we see prophecy unfolding, okay, and people, and there's more and more talk about the mark of the beast, okay, people, getting implements, okay. One, heading towards this digital system, okay. We know that we cannot take them in much to speak. We know Revelation 13:16, so far and so on, says that if any man take the mark of the beast, then he shall be what? Burned by the lake of fire. And you're gonna receive a cancer or a sword, okay. So we shouldn't be. So we're gonna in that condition, where the condition that we're gonna get put in. Right, it is a furnace, right? It's a furnace, it's a adversity, okay? The trials, okay? They're gonna try our faith, okay? But we have to believe and trust in the Lord throughout, okay? That goes back to having a strong foundation, right? Building your house on top of a rock, all right? Which is Yahushua, okay? When you build your house upon Yahushua, right? You are mentally strong. Right, when that wind blows, when they tell you cannot buy, sell, or eat unless you have that MOTB, then you're gonna be able to deal with it. You're gonna know that if I don't take the MOTB, right, and I continue to have trust in my power, Yahweh by Shah, He gonna feed me, He gonna protect me, He gonna watch over me, He gonna cover me. Okay, but you should also know that if you do take it to be right, if you lose faith, right, you're gonna get destroyed, right? You're gonna get destroyed. You're gonna get judged by Yahweh Shah, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna bring out some couple of precepts, just bring out those examples. I'm gonna bring out one really, which is Daniel the 3rd chapter, right? Go back to the golden image, and then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being protected. Okay, this is Daniel 3:1. It reads, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 70 cubits in the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. All right. So this golden image, it was a false. It basically it was a statue, okay, of Nebuchadnezzar, and all right. So then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the county sellers, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, and the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of that image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, To you is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, pastry, dulcimer, which are pipes, okay, and of all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And whoso falleth not down, whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of burning fiery furnace. Okay, so we can liken this golden images unto the MOTB. Okay, right? If you don't take this MOTB, what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna starve. Okay, you might even get put. You might get input if you're man of the Lord. Okay, or woman of the Lord. Okay. You might just get, your head might get beheaded, okay? But again, this golden image is symbolizing what? Of a false god, right? Because you're worshiping a false, you're worshiping a power, right? Nebuchadnezzar, he's a power, right? He's a king of Nebuchadnezzar, right? He's a ruler, okay? So he's a power, right? He had power of the people, right? And he just told all his subordinates basically to worship his statue, right, which is a false image of him, which is an image of, it was an image of him, but it's a false. He's a false power, okay, right? He's a worshiping false power, right? Okay, he don't have the power that was given to him by the Lord, Yahweh Shah, right? He don't have the true power, okay? So it's a false power, all right? And if you don't worship that image, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get cast into the burning fiery furnace, okay? Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, pastry, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down. and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, pastry, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship it, that he shall be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So this is a decree of law, okay? It's a law. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. All right, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee, that they serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image, which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if you be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, pastry, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye should fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast into the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that should deliver you out of my hands, which is that power? Okay. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us. From the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up, then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it wont to be heated. Okay. So this furnace was hotter than usual. Okay. All right. So just imagine an oven, okay, being on like 400 degrees Fahrenheit, right, but being sometimes more than that. Okay, all right. That's how hot this furnace was. Okay. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fire furnace. It was blazing. Okay, it was hot. Right, it was hotter than an oven. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosens, in their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So the men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they died. Okay. That these men that bind Shadrach, so that his soldiers were the one that died. All right. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fire furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astunned, and rose up and hast haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. Okay, so it was an angel, right? Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High Power, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, and king's counselor being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the Most High of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him. And have trust, see, that's that trust, okay? What's another name for trust? Faith, okay? So when the Lord puts us in a condition where we have to believe, the Lord gonna put us in a condition where we have to have trust in him, have faith in him, okay? Right? It doesn't matter what type of condition, right? It could be a physical condition, it could be a mental condition, okay? It could be something that could affect you, right? And only you know about, right? Okay? But the Lord, He gonna put us in that condition, in that fire furnace, right? And you have to continue to trust and believe on Him and have faith on Him, okay? And have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any God except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and languages which spake anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses should be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the provinces of Babylon. Right, so I'm just gonna bring out that one, but again, we can bring upon Daniel in the lion's den, right? To just bring out, to just be more edified, right, and just exhort your spirit on the type of faith, right, and the trust you have to have in the Lord in order to be delivered from your different trials and tribulation you're going through, okay, or about to go through, right? And that goes back to what building your rock upon building your house upon the rock, okay. Well, when the winds blow, which represent the trial, the tribulation, they blew upon your house. Meaning blew upon your mind, right? Blew upon your faith, right? Your house didn't fall, right? Your faith didn't fall. Your faith didn't get weakened. You didn't fall out of the truth, right? It's you still strong, right? And this is why we have to continue. And it all starts with what? Prayer, right? You can't the thing is you don't want me throw into that trial. You don't want me throw into that fire, right? And then start praying, like just start praying crazy, right? Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, when they were throwing that fire, they just didn't start praying crazy, right? Just panicking, right? Saying, saying something like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" They didn't know. The scripture speaks about how the righteous is bold as a lion. Okay, we are bold as lions, right? We don't panic. Okay, when we face adversity, face trials, right? We don't panic. Okay, there's no panicking, right? When you face this MLTB, you cannot panic. Okay, when you go through different things in this world, right? That might cause you to be afraid. Okay, there's nothing wrong being afraid, right? There's nothing wrong with being frightened. Okay, all right, because we're in this flesh, but you cannot let that overcrowd your faith, or you cannot let that overpower your faith. Okay, that now that those are demons. Okay, so when you go through different things, trials and tribulations, you have to continue to have faith on the Lord. Okay, continue to trust and believe, have faith in the Lord. Okay, I'm just using one word, faith. Okay, because that's what it is all about, having faith in a power that is not like any other power. Okay, that created all the powers, right? All the lower powers. Okay, it's just Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So I'm going to close here by giving all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kadosh, and Shalom.